Hey y'all, welcome back to the garage, welcome back to the channel. Glad y'all are able to be here. I'm going to go ahead and apologize up front for not dropping a video last week. I've had 2 videos shot, edited, and wouldn't load up for whatever reason, and it wouldn't let me pass the editing program. And come to find out, we had corrupt files. Something in the video process went, so there's no, I'm still working on them, and I'm going to try to get them out. We'll just have to see how it works out. In the meantime, I'm going to shoot a short video so at least I can get something on the channel, because I don't like not having content. And by the way, it is spring here in North Carolina. It's about 80 degrees outside, and it's about 90 here in the garage. So I got a fan going over here, so if you hear the fan, you just have to ignore it. But anyway, what are we doing today? What have I been doing? I have been busy off camera. Well, let me phrase that. I've been busy on camera, but it's not showing. There's not a video to shoot right now, or there's video shot. It won't let me upload the edited process outside of the program. So what have I got done? Well, I got all the hubs cleaned, repacked. I have bearing spacers put in the front. If you don't know what bearing spacers are, I'll show you, because I got, funny story, I have 2 extras. Let me set this down here. Let me set you down real quick. Let's see, okay. So, what these are, we'll get you there sooner or later. Okay, what these are bearing spacers. They're adjustable. Right here, you can see. And what these do is they go in between the inner and outer wheel bearings. They are designed to take the bearing preload in your wheel bearings and allow them to free spin, or free earth spin. In the old days, what we would do is when you cleaned and repacked and did wheel bearings and the hubs, you clean them, you repack them with fresh grease. Used a bearing packer, or the old hand method, where you put it on your hand and to grab the bearing with the other hand and sit there and just slop through it. And okay, we're past that now. Some people, old school, still does that. I'm old school, however, I'm not doing that. So what we've done is we have these bearing spacers. You take the hub apart, you put the you clean everything out, clean up your bearings, clean all the old grease out of them. By the way, the front hubs in this thing were atrocious. The left front hub looked like it hadn't been done in forever. The grease was like a sticky tar. It was terrible. And then what they had done is somebody just gone through, cranked them down in there, and sent it through, and it is what it is. And so literally, you take the brake caliper off, you give a hub a spin, and it would go like 2 revolutions, and that was it. So I got it cleaned and packed. I got out my micrometer. I spaced out for the hub bearing, for the spacer. I got it set. I cleaned and repacked them, or I had them already cleaned and repacked. But I used some DRP. Let me see if we can show you here. Right there. Some DRP wheel bearing grease. And this is like the super slickum grease. Comes in a little syringe. That stuff is expensive. If you had to buy some, you know what I mean. Anyway, and you manually put it in between every other roller on the bearing. That's pretty instructions on it. So we cleaned them, repacked them, set the spacer, put the new grease in them, put new fresh seals in them. We did the fronts across the front. I have video shot of that, and I have step-by-step process. I've got to figure out how to get it uploaded. So then we go to the back. In the back, when I got a hold of Mr. Teston, A couple months ago, I asked him about bearing spacers since I hadn't been into the hubs yet. He said as far as he knew, there were none. He said it would greatly help, which I already had in mind of getting them. I just didn't know if I needed them or not because I didn't know if they would have been in there. He said as far as he knows, there were not any in there. So I get to the back, I get the right rear disassembled, and it was this gooey, god-awful mess. So I get to so I get it apart, get it cleaned up, and as I'm taking it apart, a bearing spacer falls out. Holy crap! Somebody's put bearing spacers in the rears. Now there were none in the fronts. And by the way, the right front looked like somebody had done it quite a while back. It was a red grease. At least you can see what color it was. Looked like it had been done, but the left front had not. So anyway, right front's done. Go to the rear. Right rear has a spacer in it. So I take everything apart, get it cleaned up, and I said, something don't look right about this. So when I started measuring them out and miking them, they weren't even set. Somebody took them apart, took the time to take them apart. They threw a bearing spacer in there and just left it cranked down the way they bought it, and threw it up in there and called it good. And then they went and they preloaded the bearing like you would anything else. Did not preload using the spacer. And I thought, that's pretty weird. So I go to slide the axle back in. The axle won't go in. Or it'll go in, but it sticks out about 3/8 of an inch. Something's not right. This axle should go right back in place. I don't understand why it's not. So I finished this side up. I go to put the drive plate on. It won't go. It sticks out about 3/8 of an inch. Won't put the end cap on. So I go to the left side. I disassemble it. And I bet there's a spacer in here. Lo and behold, there was. And again, there was a spacer in there. And it was never set. Somebody spent $120-$30 on DRP PPM / they got them from PPM because they had PPM stickers on them, and never bothered to set them. They threw them up in there like they had no clue what they were supposed to do, but somebody told them they needed these hub spacers, so they got them. So it took time to get that figured out. So while I was in there, I thought I said, well, let's get everything done, get the axles cleaned up. By the way, the car has been sitting long enough that the axle shafts started having rust on them. So I scuffed and cleaned the rust as best I could. Wire wheeled them real good, sprayed them down with WD-40. Once we get to racing and they start getting oil slung up on them, they'll be fine. It was surface rust. So we get the left side done, go to slide it back in, it won't go in. It sticks out 3/8 of an inch. So there is something holding this in place. So I come back to the right side, I pull it, I loosen the axle up, slide it back out, the left side slides right in. I said, there is a problem in here. Now, mind you, on the inside of the rear axles, inside the quick change, there is an adjuster bolt that takes up the space in between the axles in the middle, in the center of the quick change, in the spool. So I get it down with flashlight, and the bolt in the left side axle, in the right side axle, had come out and was laying in the middle in the quick change. Crap. Okay. So I dig out a long magnet, tape it to a piece of brake line, reach in there with a magnet, pull them out so that they don't fall into the middle of the quick change and around the ring and pinion. I get them out, reset everything, get it put back together, so they're all done now. So needless to say, hubs and wheel bearings was an adventure. It should not have been, and it should not be going forward. Everything should be easy peasy, lemon squeezy, hunky dory going forward. So we get that done. Finished that up yesterday evening. Basically, I had most of yesterday doing just the rears. The fronts I did before, and I said I got that on video. It's about an hour long, but I've got to edit it down because I know y'all don't want to see me doing wheel bearings for an hour. That's just, I won't do that to you. So anyway, we've been working on that. We got that done. Over here on the left rear for the chain limiter, there are some or there is a chain limiter bushing puck. It's different hardnesses. I got 3 different ones. I got a soft, a medium, and a hard for the chain limiter. So when the rear end droops, it hits that chain limiter. If you only go so far. One, so we don't pull out of the shocks, and 2, there's a rule on droop, so we can't do that. But anyway, this is one of them that I've got from PPM, and let me get you turned around here. Let's see, right here. That's the one that I changed out yesterday. What I did is when I changed it out, the old one had deteriorated so bad it was just a goo. So I got it cleaned up and taken apart and cleaned up. Got the goo cleaned off of it, cleaned up, put the new one back on, put it back where it was, set it back where it was, so it's adjusted. So, yeah. So anyway, I got that done. We have a oil temp sender bung welded into the oil pan today. I got that done this morning, and then today, and right now, we have found some stress fractures on the right front suspension that I've got to figure out how to fix and reinforce. Let me get down here. All right. So let me get the camera flipped around. I'll show you what we got going on. So give me just a second. Okay. So you look right here. You can see the stress fracture coming down, and it comes up and around this weld, up into here. This has been repaired once already. Looks like maybe there's more stress fracture right along here. I don't know if the camera's picking it up or not. This is where the brake line attachment was. So what I've got to do is I've got to put a gusset here, and I'm going to put a gusset on the inside in here to reinforce this where this is stress fracturing. So I'll get this all welded up, get it cleaned up, get the brake line put back in here. But I've got our paint cleaned off anyway. So I wanted to show you, I didn't want to leave you guys totally hanging that there's no video out there. I wanted to show you, at least give you something, at least what we got going on here. But anyway, there's your 2 stress fractures. So let me get in here, find some material, get some metal cut, and get this done. I'll give you guys a hookup here. I'll give you guys a looky here in just a little bit. Show you what I got going on, what my determination for the fix was. So y'all sit tight. All right, y'all, we're back. Got this right front done where we had some stress fractures, and I'll get the camera flipped around here. I think it should be more than sufficient for what's needed, but I'm kind of thinking that if we have once we get going, if we're pretty successful with this, getting this channel up and going and getting back into the move and groove and the rhythm of dirt racing, next year we may have to look for another chassis, or possibly over the winter send this one to the jig and have it clipped. I found we've had to repair a couple of stress fractures already. Not real happy with that, so it may be something that we have to send out and have it done. But anyway, it's too hot to have to do anything with. I've still got to do some cleanup on it. Of course, you know, if you know anything about welding and fabrication, when it gets hot, you just got to let it cool off before you can do much else. But at least you can see the gussets and the work that was done. So let me get you flipped around here and kind of show you what we got going on while it's still rough. So y'all sit tight. Okay, here we are. You can see we put a gusset in here, we welded down to the stress fracture, and then we came around this side and we put a gusset from the suspension to where this is where the control arm mounts, or one of the bolts, control arm mounts, and we brought it down here and tied into back into the frame. So we put pretty good gussets on there. So we still got some cleanup work to do, but at least you can see what we got going on, how we've done it. So we'll get it cleaned up, painted, and looking nice, and I can start reassembling everything back over here. So that's what we got going for right now. Hey y'all, welcome back. It's what time is it here? We are it's beer 30. It's right at 5:30. So I'm gonna get ready to wrap it up for the day. But I did get finished with these stress fractures and the bracing up of the right front. I'll get the camera flipped around here in just a minute. But you know, it's all back together. It's all buttoned up. So I'm very, very pleased with the way it turned out. I don't think there's going to be any issues here. And the way that it's braced and gusseted, if there's any issues, it's going to rip the front end off of it, because it ain't coming apart. So let me get sit tight. Let me get you flipped around here, and so I can show you what we got done. So y'all sit tight. Okay, here we are. We're all back together. Last time you saw this was all apart and kind of folded over off to the side. There wasn't anything up here. But here's gusset around under here. I redid this brake line going down. Got it done in here. I'll show you. See, we bring you around the other side. There's, I know. Yeah. Anyway, you see. But we're all back together. I'm getting ready to go. I've also been buttoning up loose ends up here. Like I went ahead and put the fuel pressure gauge line in. Got all. This is all dry fitted. I got it all buttoned up, ready to go now. You know, just been doing that sort of stuff. Been doing a lot of little stuff that probably doesn't show very well, but I can at least show you after the fact what I got going on. So anyway, we're getting it done. I've got to pick up and clean up tools now and clean up oil underneath and brake fluid and whatnot. That's why I had a pan down there, was to catch all that. But I got to get all that picked up and cleaned up. And so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap it up for the day. I'm going to get you flipped back around here. So like I just said, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap it up for the day. I'm going to pick up and clean up tools over here. You know what time it is. So we're going to have a few of those. I've got to get the grill started up the house. I've got some pork chops to throw on there tonight. But in the meantime, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and pick all this up and get it cleaned up. We're still waiting on our shocks. Still haven't heard back from Brandon. I've got a potential plan B for shocks if need be. I got to follow up on it early this week and see what the status of it is and if it's a real possibility. And if it's a real possibility, we may end up going a different route, or I won't say going a different route. He's got them. He's going to get them done. It's whenever he gets them done is the issue. But I may have a plan B for that. So stay tuned, and we'll keep you informed on what I got going on. See if I can work something out. So we'll get some shocks in here. My next thing is probably finishing the electrical. There's a bunch of electrical work to do. There's no master switch in here. Everything's wired right directly to a 16-volt battery, and there's no master switch. So we got charging ports, but we got no master switch. So I got to get a master switch put in. I'm going to redo some of the battery cables because they're in pretty bad shape. So we'll get the battery cables done, we'll get that master switch put in, we'll finish up under the dash. What we got going up here, I'll get the dash buttoned up. I still got Clecos holding it in place. Get the dash done, get this electric done. So that's the next projects to be done, is to get those tidied up. Then at that point, we're hopefully by then we've got some shocks and we can get this thing sitting on the ground, get it at ride height, get the spring smasher, get the springs smashed, and I may have something cool coming for that too, but that still remains to be seen. That's still in really early stages. But I may have some spring smasher stuff to show here as well. But anyway, let me get back in here. I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to pick up some tools, and we're going to call it a night. Y'all have a great evening, and remember, like, comment, subscribe. Let's get this algorithm moving. Get YouTube sharing it. Get Facebook sharing it. We'll get the TikToks moving on it. I got some other cool stuff coming. So y'all have a great evening. I'll catch you later on the flip side.